Fam, what's going on? It's your man DA. Welcome back. It's interesting. Somebody said to me, for somebody who's not a Christian, you sure do quote the Bible a lot. Yeah, well, that's the paradox of the spiritual life, right? Um, I find that one of the most predominant paradoxes is both this is and is notness that life is, right? I mean, we are spiritual beings. Like, we are not human beings, but we are, and we're not. But that's neither here nor there. What I want to talk to you about in this video is this idea of expanding what little bit you have. There's a lot of times in life where we feel like we don't have enough. We don't have enough time. We don't have enough money. We don't have enough friends. We don't have enough love. And I find that in order to get anything, you first have to give it. That's one of the first keys of abundance. If you want anything, give what you have. It may not be money, but you have joy, you have love, you have compassion, you have empathy. I'm sure you have a smile. Anything you give is giving. And because you give, you're going to have to receive. I'm actually going to record a video on that probably tomorrow. But back to this idea of living from this small amountness, right? The truth is, there's no lack in the universe. Money, love, friendship, job opportunities, creativity, whatever it is as abundant as the air we breathe. It's literally all around us. It's the sea that we swim in. If you study quantum physics for any amount of time, or if you've heard anybody within the spiritual growth space and the manifestation space at all over the last, 5-7 years, you sure enough heard about this invisible field that quantum physics talks about, right? This field of energy that we inhabit. Personally, I refer to that field as God, the eternal, ever-present and pervasive energy and source of all life. Now, because that is, there can be no lack. Lack is only a perception of our limited perspective, right? Because we can only see but so far, because we're so entrenched in physical reality, we come to believe that the physical reality is the truth of existence. But again, it's not. The very fact that you are an eternal, an immortal soul having this human experience is a testimony to that, where your unseen reality is the truth. Not that this physical reality isn't real, because I am in this moment now, right? Through this physical frame, recording through this electronic device, being beamed to you through satellites and a whole lot of other technology that I can't explain. But abundance in any context is all around us, but we don't see it. We're not aware of it. And because we're not aware of it, we don't receive more of it. One of the ways the universe works, you get what you put your attention and your energy on. Your attention and your energy literally feeds existence. It's feeding that invisible energy that we're swimming in. So where we think that we're simply like looking out at the world and responding to it, the truth is the world we live in is responding to us. So we see lack because previously we thought lack. Previously we felt lack. We felt limitation, and we created limitation, and then we see it. And when we see it, we say, oh man, there's lack. And we start thinking lack again. But if we can bring ourselves to flip the switch and go from, I want to be careful of using the word illusion, because I feel like it gets thrown around and it might be overused in this way. But we just have to recognize that what we see is not always the truth of reality. I just put out a video a couple of days ago, like, stop believing what you see, right? Your circumstances literally don't matter. Your circumstances are merely the result of old choices and thoughts and actions that you have taken. But if you can begin to recognize that your entire world is being created here, through your thoughts, through your beliefs, through your perceptions, through your actions, everything will begin to shift for you. And one of the key attitudes that we need to shift into is one of gratitude. And it does a few things for us, right? But first, there's a Bible story, of course, to kind of back this up. Not that I need it, but it's fun. So there was a time Jesus was out teaching. There was a bunch of people out listening to him, right? There was something like 5,000 men, not even including the women and the babies. 5,000 dudes. And Jesus was out there teaching all day, sat down with his disciples and was like, all right, how are we going to feed them? His disciples was like, bruh, like we ain't got it like that. I mean, like we could get them a little something, but it's not going to feed everybody. And then one of the disciples did something kind of surprising to me, right? Like he saw the crowd and yet he said, oh, there's this little boy. He has a couple fish and some bread, right? Like this is lunch for this one little boy. And the disciple was like, yeah, we got this, right? I don't know if he was joking or I don't know if he truly knew that Jesus was about to do what he did. But fact of the matter was Jesus took the 2 fish and the 5 loaves of bread. And what he did next was interesting. He took it. The Bible says that he looked up and he gave thanks for it. And then he broke it up and gave it out to the disciples to give to the people. I like to imagine like being in that moment. Like what happened to the material of the fish and the bread? Like did it instantaneously multiply? So much and so that the disciples was like, all right, hey, here we go. I don't know. I don't think anybody knows. Fact of the matter is this. Jesus didn't recognize the small amount. He didn't recognize the lack. He didn't pay any attention to the fact that there was no way physically possible that 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread were going to feed over 5,000 people. And not only that, after everybody had eaten, they took up 12 extra baskets of food, of like scraps. So there wasn't just enough, but there was more than enough. I'm about to preach it here, y'all. There was more than enough off of the gratitude and the action that Jesus took. What would your life be like if you were grateful for everything you had right now? No matter how big or small it was, if you were thankful for what it was, for how much you had of it, and simply used it, right? Just simply used it with no concern for how much is going to be left afterwards. What do you think your life would be like? I mean, I can't tell you, but there are multiple times in the Bible where somebody took a little bit, used it, but ended up with way more. Right? My mind goes back to the story of the woman in the Old Testament, went to the prophet and was like, hey, my husband died. They fixing to come take my sons. Like, I don't know what to do. Like, I got to pay off these debts because they're going to take my sons as slaves. The prophet told her, was like, hey, what do you have in your house? She's like, I just got nothing and a little bit of oil. He said, go borrow some vessels and not a few, fill them up, go sell the oil, keep the money for you and your sons and like live your life or whatever, right? And so she goes and gets these vessels. She's pouring the oil and the oil just doesn't stop running. The little bit of oil she had filled up, God knows how many vessels she went sold and made the amount of money that she needed to make. So here we have Jesus here in the countryside with all these people. We don't even know exactly what he said in his prayer, right? We don't have the words, so we can't use it for ourselves in like an incantation or anything like that. We can't mimic it. All it says is that he looked to heaven, he looked to the source, he looked to the Father, and he gave thanks. What would your life be like if you just gave thanks for what you had and just kind of went to work with what it was? Recognizing, knowing that the source of all life can multiply and create anything from anything. Living in that state of gratitude, I feel like does a few things for us. The first thing I feel like it does, it taps us in to a wave of creativity. Because when we're focused on lack, when we're focused on what we don't have, we're usually coming out of a survival mode. We're not really focused on All the good that's around, we're focused on the threats. We're focused on the problems. How are we in trouble? And so we're living in this defensive posture, not taking any active steps forward, and that keeps us where we are. Either it keeps us where we are or we get knocked back. So when we tap into creativity, though, we begin to see the opportunities. We begin to see the positive things that will pull us toward our future, that will pull us toward our desired destination. Because when you're either going to be in creativity or you're going to be in survival, but you're not going to be in both. Now, there might be elements of like creative survival, like ketchup sandwiches, bologna sandwiches. Like those are struggle meals, y'all. Super creative struggle meals. I got to talk fast because it's getting dark. But yeah, like when we're focused on what we don't have and what's not there, we don't see what we do have. And when we don't recognize that, we can't do anything with it. The second thing I believe it does is that it brings us to this present moment. When we focus on what it is we do have, when we express gratitude for it, we see all that we do have and we recognize like, oh snap, I'm actually well off. Like not like rich, but like I'm good. I'm healthy. Like I'm not dying in this very moment. And even if you are, like it's not too much to be concerned about. You know? But the fact is, in this present moment, we always have all we need. And the illusion of the materiality of the material world, it fades away. It fades away. The last thing that I'll say here, that tapping into this this thankfulness that it does, it brings us more of what it is we're thankful for. Because again, where we place our attention and our energy, we feed it. Our attention and our energy is currency. It's a flow of energy. It's literally life force. And what we give our life force to, it takes on that life force and it expands, because that's what life is always doing. It's expanding. So to give our life force to anything is to make more of it in our life. And so when we focus on being grateful, first of all, the universe loves that. And it will give us more of what it is we're grateful for. Because it's, on one hand, it's rewarding us. On the second hand, it's just acting according to law. So I want to encourage y'all, don't be so caught up in what you see. Don't be so hooked on what it feels like this moment is creating. But you create, because you're the creator. You're a creator. And nothing but yourself can stop you. Creator gear in the link below in the description. Grab yours today. I'm going to go find some light. Y'all be good.